1920s, Jewish men living in Utah and the surrounding states traveled to Salt Lake City every 2 months for meetings of the Salt Lake Lodge of B'nai B'rith, a fraternal and philanthropic organization. In the membership registry, each identified himself as an Israelite, for at that point in history, that's what they were, regardless of where they lived. They discussed issues of the day and philanthropic goals of the organization. They also talked about the need to purchase a place of their own to hold their meetings. More than a place for meetings, however, they seemed to be looking for a home where they belonged, where they could be who they were. They sensed that a Jewish center was important for nurturing Jewish identity and perhaps even for the survival of the Jews. On the recommendation of the B'nai B'rith members, the Enos Wall Mansion on South Temple was purchased for $75,000. Named the Covenant House, it opened in September 1925, the first Jewish community center in Salt Lake City. The mansion had 3 floors. Meetings of B'nai B'rith and other groups were held in the large rooms on the first floor. The dining room was large enough to seat the 200 who attended the Men and Sons B'nai B'rith dinners. Women's organizations met on the second floor, where some of the bedrooms were combined to allow for larger meeting space. The ballroom was on the third floor and used for weddings, parties, and the annual bazaar, which provided funding for the women's organizations and the Covenant House's annual budget of $12,000. During World War II, the Covenant House served as a Jewish USO, offering servicemen holiday meals in a welcoming Jewish home. By the mid-1940s, many Salt Lake Jews felt that the Covenant House was not fulfilling its mission of being a true community center. They had learned of the multitude of leisure activities at Jewish community centers in other cities that were simply not possible at the Covenant House. Still, the community had owned the Covenant House for more than 20 years, and they had no other place to call home. Simon Shapiro spoke eloquently against selling the Covenant House, but when the vote was taken, the community voted to sell. According to Bernie Solomon's history, Simon Shapiro never looked back, and from that moment on, he was a staunch supporter for a new center. In fact, when the groundbreaking ceremony for the new Jewish Community Center took place in December 1957, it was Shapiro who turned the first shovel. Between 1949, when the Covenant House was sold, and 1958, when the James L. White JCC opened, Jewish organizations met at Temple B'nai Israel, at Congregation Montefiore, Hotel Utah, the Hotel Newhouse, and at private homes. Though less than ideal, people got used to living without a center, and it was difficult to maintain the momentum to build a new Jewish community center. In the mid-1950s, the Hogel family donated 5 acres at the corner of 17th South and Foothill Drive, resolving the question of where a new JCC should be located. The land was to be split evenly between the Episcopal Church and the Jewish community. The Hogel's gift was readily accepted, and the 2 communities lived in harmony as neighbors. With a site identified, the Jewish community shifted its focus to building their new home. Dahl Siegel led the building committee, which gathered input and worked with architect Robert A. Fowler to produce a plan for the building. Bids were solicited from a number of contractors, but all were far in excess of what had been expected, and beyond what the community expected to be able to raise. Salt Lake United Jewish Council head Abe Bernstein met with his friend, contractor Joseph Howe, who modified the plans and suggested postponing certain features so that the building could be completed for $350,000, an amount acceptable to the community. The proceeds from the sale of the Covenant House were used to pay for the construction of the new building. In addition, a $150,000 mortgage was taken out and personally guaranteed by the dozen or so signing individuals. A new board of directors of the Jewish Community Center Corporation was elected and led by Dal Siegel. Ads were sold for a souvenir dedication book, producing $13,000 to purchase furnishings and office and kitchen equipment. The family of the late James L. White furnished and decorated the James L. White Lounge. They employed New York artist Alfred Van Loen to create two pieces, a bronze and copper tree of life which hung on the wood wall in the lobby, and a free-form menorah to be a fountain whose waters would appear like white lights of burning candles to sit in front of the building that would become affectionately known as 17th South. The James L. White Jewish Community Center opened for business in March 1958. A nursery school was started at the new JCC by Suzanne Goldsmith and Roseanne Gordon. This became the premier early childhood center in Salt Lake City, and among the very first to be accredited by the NAEYC. Members of the larger community sought out the JCC's preschool and kindergarten as they searched for the best programs for their young children. Programs which opened up a larger world to children, encouraging them to wonder and explore, learn of Jewish traditions, and see themselves as part of something larger than themselves. The dream of a swimming pool was finally realized in 1973, when the family of Max Siegel made a donation for a junior Olympic pool to be built in his memory. Increased opportunities now available to children on Salt Lake's East Bench brought in more families to the JCC. People from all walks of life often say that they learned to swim in the pool at 17th South. Musicals, Boy Scouts, BBYO, junior jazz, summer camp, after school, adult basketball, swim meets, preschool, kindergarten, the first grade class of the JCC Elementary School, later to become the McGillis School, and the very first Shalom on the Range. All were held at 17th South. The notion of Tikkun Olam, of making the world a better place, took on an immediate and local meaning. By the mid-1990s, the aging and heavily trafficked James L. White JCC was almost completely taken over by children's programs, underscoring the need for these programs in the community, while leaving few opportunities or space for adults. The JCC Elementary School had grown and was now meeting at Congregation Kol Ami, which itself needed additional classroom space. A new community building committee was formed, initially with the idea of a Jewish community campus adjacent to Congregation Kol Ami. Competing needs resulted in the community campaign being broken into 3 separate campaigns. A major gift by Izzy Wagner honoring his late wife Janae, paired with gifts made by more than 500 families and organizations, including a $1 million gift from the Harry and Jeanette Weinberg Foundation and sizable gifts from the Elliott Wolf family and the John and Marcia Price family, made possible the purchase and complete refurbishment of the old Fort Douglas Country Club. The community would now have a full-service JCC with a state-of-the-art health and fitness center, brand new early childhood center, and a Holocaust memorial. The price tag for this was in excess of $18 million. Even with Izzy's substantial gift and all the other gifts, the completion and opening of the I.J. and Janae Wagner Jewish Community Center in 2001 was accompanied by financial strain. Once again, No budget existed for furnishing a 90,000 square foot building, and the startup costs for a new health and fitness center and rental and catering operation required spending money before any was made. A $1 million mortgage was taken. JCC Summer Camp continued to use the James L. White Building each summer, but it was clear that the building, now more than 40 years old, needed an influx of tender loving cash, which the JCC didn't have. A decision was made to sell the aging but loved building in 2005. Cash from the sale was used to retire the mortgage and to pay off a loan of $100,000 to the United Jewish Federation of Utah. The sale forced the JCC to address where to locate its summer camp. Along with the Early Childhood Center, summer camp permitted working parents to leave their children knowing that they were in the best possible environment, safe, having fun, and learning important lessons which would help them become productive members of society. Although the tennis courts at the Wagner Center were important to JCC members, the decision was made to use 2 courts as home for the summer camp, effectively ending the tennis program. It seems that the home desired by the Salt Lake B'nai B'rith members of the 1920s is what many of us have looked for and found at the JCC. We have all wanted a place where we would be welcomed regardless of who or what we are. Our home is a community of people of all ages, faiths, and family configurations who have come together to strengthen their minds, bodies, and spirits. Our large Jewish home has welcomed thousands of children and their parents since 1925. It has become a home at which counselors from the Jewish state of Israel are a mainstay at summer camp, and at which hundreds of summer campers, including refugees from Asia and Africa, gather each Friday afternoon to sing Shabbat blessings and share challah. It's a home where children are so comfortable that their parents have remarked, "He thinks this is his home." J members today have been gifted with a magnificent legacy from Salt Lake's Jewish pioneers of the 1920s, whose insistence that a Jewish center be created is the foundation for this JCC, a shining place on the hill, an earmark of a vibrant, world-class city where people are welcomed regardless of who they are. The presence of the JCC in Salt Lake City tells newcomers that Salt Lake is a diverse city where they can find what they need to raise their families in a way that they choose to, that there is a place where they will be accepted, and that they can and should make their home here. Those whose lives are touched by the JCC leave as Jewish community emissaries to the larger community. 90 years after the purchase of the Covenant House, the philanthropic goals of B'nai B'rith endure at the JCC through scholarships providing low-income families with opportunities to participate in JCC programs, and through gifts of JCC memberships to the out-of-town families of locally hospitalized patients, allowing them some respite from the long days and nights of life in a hospital with a sick family member. In recognition of the fact that many of our families arrived in this country as strangers, the Refugee Camp Scholarship Program provides free summer camp to dozens of refugee children each year. It would be a mistake to think that our home is now complete. The need to change as the community's needs have changed has been a constant for the past 90 years. Next year, the Wagner JCC will be 15 years old. There are areas in need of refurbishment, and modifications are needed to allow for current use. Those that came before invested money and time to the benefit of all the families who have come to the JCC since. Very soon it will be time for the next generation of members of the Jewish Community Center to step up and ensure that the JCC continues to be that shining place on the hill for the families who will be here in the 21st century.